Okay, today's theme is Aparigraha. So there are 10 suggestions on how to live a happier life. And most of this is just personal decisions about how you react to situations. So one is that I love is Aparigraha. So that's today's theme. And you can apply this in so many different ways. Many people feel that in parts of their lives they have scarcity, and it tends to make them hoard or hold things very close. And often what you need to do is just let it go and recognize that when you give, whatever it is you have of abundance, which is a lot of different things, kindness, um, love, empathy, when you give those things, your life becomes more abundant, and your life ends up being full of many of those things that you thought maybe were a little bit scarce. So apply that to your practice today. Think about some of those places where you're holding back, and it's okay to hold back. There's nothing wrong with being in a posture and thinking, I hate this. This is really hard, and holding back in order to protect yourself. Nothing wrong with that at all. But just take that moment to think about it. And there may be a situation where you think, maybe I should stay here a little bit longer. So when you do that, it gives you a little bit of a different perspective in your postures. So we're going to do a full-blown practice today. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the hips than usual. Just it's the beginning of the week, and many of us tend to be tighter in the hips. So it'll be a little bit more hip focused, but we're going to do everything. So that's it. Okay. So go ahead and come to the top of your mat. And so will I. I'm going to use a blanket today too. So if you have a blanket nearby, you may want to have that ready just somewhere close by. It's not going to be absolutely necessary, but you may like it. So come to the top of your mat, separate your feet about hips distance apart, grab the ground with your feet, pull the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet toward each other. And then take the arms up on the inhale and interlace your fingers, squeeze your head, lift up nice and tall, and go for a tiny back bend. You're really lifting toward the ceiling board, trying to get nice and long. And then imagine you're like a snake coming out of a basket. So you're going to stretch from side to side a little bit as you lift. Just go right, lift, left, lift, get a little bit taller. Still a little bit of a back bend, just a tiny bit. All right, come out of that back bend so you're a little bit more upright. And then transfer your weight into your left leg and put your right big toe on the ground. So I'll show this from a different angle. You're going to point your right big toe on the ground. And then lift up tall and stretch over to your right hand side. So we're just trying to get a little bit more into these side muscles, your oblique abdominals. Take about 2 to 3 more big breaths here. And then if you want to play with this a little bit, you can see if you can lift that right leg up and you feel a lot more of your hip. So turn the right toes forward, point them forward a little bit. All right, come back down and let's go for the other side. So lift up nice and tall, stretch over to your left hand side. Get a nice big stretch through the right side. And then start transferring a little bit more weight into that right leg and put that left big toe on the ground. And then lift that left leg up if you choose. Just check it out and see how it feels. So using a little bit more of your outer hips. Turn the toes forward a little bit more. All right, and then come on out of that. And then release the arms, then do a couple of really big exaggerated shoulder rolls, both directions. Okay, so let's go for a couple sun salutations. We're going to play with them a little bit. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward and look forward. Exhale, plant your hands, step back. We're going to lower all the way to the ground, press forward, drop your knees, lower all the way down. Roll your shoulders onto your back, and then lift your hands up off the ground a little bit. Pull your front ribs into your spine. Plant the hands behind your shoulders, roll the shoulders onto your back again. Push back to child's pose. And take a moment here and just see how you feel. See where your reserves of energy are. And you may not feel like there are any reserves of energy right now, which is often the case early in the morning. All right, spread your fingers out wide. Come to hands and knees. Flip your toes over. Find a downward dog. Lift your armpits and roll your shoulders onto your back. And then gently shake out your head and nod your head. Make sure your neck feels nice and long. Pull the belly in a little bit. Pull the front ribs in a little bit. All right, look up. Inhale. Step forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. And just check in, see how you feel here in Tadasana mountain pose. So you may still feel a little tired, a little groggy, or you may start feeling the hint of energy coming into your body. Let's try this again. Take the arms up on the inhale and look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, fold and bend the knees. Inhale, stretch forward and look forward. Exhale, plant the hands, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down halfway. You can always drop the knees on this one. Taps the feet, inhale. Draw the shoulder blades down your back and maybe lift your knees off the ground. And then exhale, downward dog. Walk out your down dog a little bit. Press one heel toward the ground, press the other heel toward the ground. No worries if the heels don't touch. And in fact, if you're feeling a lot of tugging behind the legs, behind the knees, bend the knees generously. Don't feel like you have to straighten your legs. Relax your neck. All right, look up, inhale, step forward. Exhale, hinge the hips. Now grab your elbows and press your top forearm into your bottom forearm. And then gently swing from side to side. Don't forget to breathe. So you should be feeling this in the back. But if you're really pressing the forearms down, it's not just in the shoulders and the back. You may start feeling a little bit in the hips as well. All right, take the hands to the hips, squeeze the elbows toward the sky, bend the knees. Big inhale, come all the way up. And let's go for Sun Salutation B. Big toes together, heels slightly apart. Take the arms up on the inhale. Sink back into Utkatasana, chair pose or fierce pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, step back. Press forward, lift your chin, lower down halfway. Drop your knees if you want. Inhale into the tops of the feet. Lift your knees if you want. And then exhale, downward dog. Left heel pivots and plants. Right foot lunges forward. You can bring that knee up into your chest and step it forward. If you're having a hard time doing that, grab your ankle and pull it forward underneath you. Press down into the outer edge of your back foot, and then inhale, come up. Zip up the belly. So these front hips tend to tilt forward here. Lift your front hip points. Drop your shoulders. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. And big exhale. Take the hands down to the ground. Step your right leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right heel plants, left foot lunges. Big inhale, come on up. And take your time. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. Left knee is roughly over the ankle. Lift your front hip points. Drop your shoulders. Look up toward the thumbs. So we're going to do this again and see if we can get a little bit more space between the feet. Take the hands down to the ground. Step your left leg back. Press forward, lower down. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Right leg lunges again. Bring that knee into your chest. Step it forward. Again, you can always grab that foot. Come on up. And then we want to get this thigh a little closer to parallel, so you're going to slide that left foot back a little bit. An inch counts. And then squeeze your inner thighs together, lift your front hip points, drop your shoulders, look up towards your thumbs. All right, take the hands down to the ground. This is where a block comes in really handy. So you're going to take a block, put it on the ground under your left shoulder, turn your left toes forward. So all 10 toes are pointing forward. Then you're going to take your right arm toward the sky and look over your right shoulder. So from here, squeeze your inner thighs together. And then you're going to slowly straighten your front leg a little bit. So maybe it goes really straight, maybe just a little bit straight, but as you inhale, straighten that front leg a little bit. You're going to feel huge stretch coming down your right hip and right IT band. And then exhale, bend the knee again. Inhale, straighten the leg a little bit. Find your spot. Exhale, bend the knee a little bit. 3 more. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. 2 more. Take the right hand down to the ground. Move that block to the side. Step your right leg back. Press forward. Lower down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right heel plants. Left foot lunges. Again, take that left foot forward as much as you can. You even have to grab that left foot and bring it underneath your shoulder. And then once you're here, press into the outer edge of your back foot. Inhale, come on up. And then give yourself a moment to just see if you can put a little bit more space between the feet. So you can get that right foot back a tiny bit. Lift your front hip points. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Look up towards your thumbs. And take the hands down to the ground. Hand on the ground or put a block under your right hand. Turn your right toes forward. Twist gently. Take that left arm toward the sky. Look over the left shoulder. As you inhale, straighten up that left leg a little bit. As you exhale, bend the knee. 4 more of these. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Two more. Make sure your breaths are strong. All right, after that last one, bring your left hand down to the ground. Move the block to the side. Step your left leg back. Press forward. Drop your knees. Come all the way down to your belly. Let's add in a little bit of shoulders. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Roll the shoulders onto your back. Squeeze your elbows toward each other. And then squeeze your ankles toward each other. From here, lift your legs up and keep your ankles together. Lift your chest up. Pull the front ribs in. So your arms behind you are not necessarily straight. They may be really bent in order to avoid hyperextension. So keep breathing. You can slightly pull the fingers away from each other. Keep the grip, but pull the fingers away from each other. All right, let's take a moment to rest and just see what's happened so far with our bodies. So bring the hands out of the shoulders, roll the shoulders onto your back. Press back, find a child's pose. Take some big, deep breaths. Notice where you have a little extra energy, where you may feel a little bit more open now. And look up at your hands. Spread your fingers out wide. Flip your toes over. Find a downward dog. Lift your armpits up and roll your shoulders onto your back. Lengthen your neck. All right, let's do another warrior one. So bring that right knee up into your chest and step it forward. Drop your back heel. Come into warrior one on the inhale. And then maybe put a little bit more space between the feet so you can get a little bit more wide there. Then you're going to bring your hands down to the inside of your right leg. So again, a block is really helpful here. Once you're here, hands on the ground or hands on the block, we're going to walk the hands over to the left corner of the mat. Stick your tailbone out, reach back with your hips, and then firm up your inner left thigh, lift it up against the thigh bone, and then tack your outer right hip back towards your inner left thigh. So you start feeling this outer hip a little bit more. All right, walk it back to the center. This is a fun little variation I've been really enjoying lately. You're going to walk your right foot over to the right. So if your head is pointing to 12 o'clock, your right foot is now going to point up to about 3 o'clock. Come to the pinky edge of your left foot, and then drop your left hip to the ground. Take a moment here. Your right foot might slide a little bit. So what this is doing is you're just making sure that everything's aligned well in a way that makes sense for you. So right foot flat on the ground, pointing forward, left hip on the ground, and then we're going to do 5 little lifts here. So the side planks. Roll that left shoulder on the back. If it's not working out so well for you and you feel like your shoulder's rolling in, walk your hand forward a little bit more. You actually don't want your arm perfectly perpendicular to the ground. You want your hand slightly forward so you have a little bit more of an angle here for your shoulder socket. And then you're going to push into this right foot and lift your hips. So as you inhale, lift, take that right arm all the way over and stretch. And then exhale, drop your left hip to the ground again. Inhale, lift. And exhale, drop. 3 more of these. Two more. Last one. All right, let's turn forward again. So bring that right hand down to the ground, step back to down dog, walk it out. Child's pose is also an option. Relax your neck. All right, let's go for the other side. So right heel pivots and plants, left foot lunges forward. Take your time getting that left foot forward. Come up into warrior one. A little bit more space between the legs. And then take your hands down to the ground or to the block. So once you're here, hands to the ground or to the block, walk your hands over to the right corner. Stick your tailbone out, so really jut your hips out behind you. Firm up this inner right thigh up against the thigh bone. Tack your outer left hip back towards your inner right thigh, so your hip is going to swing in a little bit more. Breathe deeply. Drag your feet toward each other on the mat, kind of pull them toward the midline. All right, walk it back to the center. Turn your right toes forward. Walk your left foot over to that left side, pointing to about 9 o'clock. Come to the pinky edge of your right foot, and then take a moment to drop your right hip, because you're probably going to have to move that left foot a little bit, get it to a more comfortable place. And then once you have that left foot pointing forward, walk your right hand just a tiny bit forward so that your arm is not perfectly perpendicular. You want a little bit more of an angle there. And then we're going to go for 5 lifts here. So as you inhale, lift the hips and push into that left leg. As you exhale, drop. 4 more of these. Two more. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you drop. Last one. All right, turn everything forward. Down dog, or if you need a little break, child's pose. Renew. Make sure you're checking in with yourself, you're able to breathe. Roll those shoulders onto your back. If you're in child's pose, press forward into the mat so that your hips press back closer to your heels. And look up. Inhale, step forward, big toes touching. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sink into Utkatasana, take the arms up. We're going to go for a little twist here. Sink down a little bit deeper, twist to your right, hook that left arm to the outside of your right leg. So once you're here, your left knee might be jutting forward. If it is, tack your left hip back. If you're feeling pretty comfortable about this, see if you can drop your hips a little bit more. And then if you feel really comfortable about this, you can take that left hand down to the ground And look over your right shoulder. Don't forget to breathe here. All right, inhale, take it up. Let's go for the other side. Exhale, sink down, twist to your left. Take that right arm to the outside of your left leg. Tag your right hip back. Look over your left shoulder. See if you can drop your hips a little bit more. Maybe extend your wings. And unwind, inhale, take it up. Exhale, take the arms to the side. So you should be feeling pretty warm right now. From here, we're going to go into sun salutation C and then throw a bunch of extra stuff into that one as well. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. So you're doing more of the sagittal play here, quadriceps and hamstrings. Look up, zip up your belly, drop your shoulders. And plant the hands, step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. All right, as we're going to mix up a few things. Relax your neck a little bit. We're going to come into a high lunge and come into warrior three. So bring that left knee into your chest. Step your left leg forward. All 10 toes are pointing forward. Coming up on the inhale. And we're going to come into warrior three. So from here, take your weight forward. You can do a couple of hops with your back leg if you want to, or you can just come into that left leg. Find a warrior three. So arms out in front is the most challenging. If you need a little bit less challenge, hands come into the heart center. Arms out to the sides is really great because it opens up the shoulders. Zip up the belly. All right, we're going to drop into warrior two. So bring that right foot down and then open up to your right for warrior two. So left foot's going to line up roughly with the heel or arch of your back foot. Your right hip's going to be just slightly in front of your left hip, so you're not perfectly parallel to the side of the mat here with the hips. And then let's add in some arms. So from here, take your arms into cactus arms, right elbow under the left elbow. Try to bring the backs of the hands together or see if you can wrap your hands all the way around, palms of the hands together. And then you're going to drop your hands over to the left side. So you're going to have kind of a 45-degree angle with the forearms, and then drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. All right, bring the arms back upright, take the arms out to the sides, straighten up the front leg, and then reach through for triangle. Left hand's going to come somewhere to the leg. So it might be higher up in the thigh, maybe the shin. If you're a little bit more flexible through the hamstrings, you can grab your big toe and pull up on your big toe. So you have lots of options. Stick out the tailbone, zip up the low belly. Look over your right shoulder, look up towards your right thumb. So if that makes you feel pretty dizzy, you have a couple options here. You can look down at the ground, or if you have really low blood pressure, often that arm up is what's making you feel a little dizzy. So right hand to the hip is a great option as well if you're just feeling like your whole circulatory system is a little behind. Keep reaching through the side and sticking your tailbone out. All right, bend that front knee, bring the hands down to the ground. Step back to down dog or child's pose. So take a moment and just even everything out, see how everything feels. Big breathing here, big inhales, big exhales. Relax your neck. Let's go for the other side. Lunge your right leg forward. Come up into a high lunge. This time we're going to drop your left knee a little bit. So pull the belly in, pull the front ribs in, drop the shoulders down, and then drop your left knee toward the ground, and then inhale, come back up. Then exhale, drop the knee. Inhale, come on up. Keep breathing here. All right, Now, see if you can come forward into your right leg and lift your left knee up into your chest. You're going to come into your right leg and lift your left leg up. Easier said than done. Once you're here, see if you can start extending your left leg. Okay, and then bring that left leg down. And bring your hands into your heart center. Just take a few breaths here, resting. Notice you're feeling a little bit sweaty. All right, let's put your big toes together. Take the arms up on the inhale. Sink back into Utkatasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. All right, bring your arms to the inside of your left leg. And you want to keep your front and your chest lengthening forward. If this feels pretty good, you may want to stay here. If this feels like you have a little bit more flexibility through the hips and the thighs, you want to go a little deeper, then you can bring your forearms to a block or your forearms to the ground. And you may notice that your left knee kind of swings slightly out to the left, which is really not a big deal. So you do want to use your inner thigh and squeeze your inner left thigh in toward your side, but don't feel like you have to get really close to your left side. So big breathing here. Take a moment to just breathe, renew, see if you can relax a little bit. All right, if you're using your block, put it to the side, step back, lift your right leg toward the sky, and then look up and lunge your right leg forward on the exhale. Drop your back knee. Now you're going to turn your right toes out to the right a little bit. Bring your right hand to your thigh and roll your right shoulder onto your back. So you're looking back toward the back of your mat here, and your left shoulder is probably rolling in a little bit, so roll your left shoulder onto your back. See if you can squeeze your shoulder blades together on your spine. Keep looking. Reach that right arm back behind you. Keep rolling your left shoulder onto your back. If that left quadriceps area feels like it's loose enough, see if you can bend your back leg, and then possibly grab your foot. Don't feel like you have to go there. Many of us are super tight in the quads, and it'll take a while to get to that place. So try it. But if you need to back off, back off. All right, unwind. You're going to step that left leg forward. Inhale, reach your heart forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, let's try for the other side. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. And big exhale. Hands down at the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. All right, we're going forward. So bring that right knee up into your chest. Step it forward. Coming into a high lunge. Big breathing here. All right, exhale, hands down the ground. Step back again. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Let's do a high lunge on the other side. All the way up. All right, how's everything feeling? Warm? All right, let's do this again. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Look up. We're going to do our high lunge one more time. Bring that right knee up into your chest and step it forward. Come on up. All right, trying to go for a warrior three here. So again, you can just come right into that right leg, or if you need a little help, do a couple little steps with that back foot until you get into your right leg, and then you're going to hinge at the hips. Again, arms out in front is the most difficult variation. So you can stay there and challenge yourself, or hands at the heart center, or arms out to the sides. All right, come on down. Let's open it for warrior two. So you're going to turn to the left. Make sure your front foot lines up roughly with the heel or arch of your back foot. Take the arms out to the sides. Drop the shoulders a little bit. All right, let's do those arms again. So this time the left elbow is going to come underneath the right elbow, and then you're going to bring the backs of the hands together or the palms of the hands. And then once you've got something happening, drop your hands over to the right hand side and drop your ear over to the left shoulder. All right, unwind those arms, take them out, straighten up the front leg, big inhale, reach to the right hand side, bring your right hand down to your thigh or your shin. Again, if you're a little bit more flexible, you can slide down toward the foot a little bit more. Lift that left arm and look over the left shoulder. Stick your tailbone out a little bit. You want a little bit of a curve in this low back area. All right, now bring your hands down to the ground and step back and lift your left leg toward the sky. Okay, we're gonna do our high lunge again. Look up, bring that left knee up into your chest and step it forward. Come into your high lunge, and then we're gonna drop that right knee. So right knee drops a little bit, exhale, inhale, come back up. Exhale, drop down. Inhale, come back up. 3 more. All right, let's come down to child's pose or down dog. So hands down the ground, step back, down dog, or if you feel like you need a little bit of a break here, just check in with your body, find a child's pose. All right, let's finish off this set of lunges. So find your down dog if you're not in it. Lunge your left leg forward, drop your back knee, and then bring your right hand down below your right shoulder. Turn your left toes out to the left. Bring your left hand to your thigh. Roll your left shoulder onto your back and roll your right shoulder onto your back. Breathe deeply. And then reach back with that left arm. Keep focusing on that right shoulder. Keep trying to roll it back. And then maybe bend your right knee and maybe grab the top of your left foot. Keep your breaths big. So anytime we go into a twist, it's pretty typical to stop breathing. All right. And then from here, step back, take a moment and walk it out. Take your right leg toward the sky and lunge it forward. Come on up to a high lunge, and then we're going to try to bring that left knee up. So take your time getting some weight into that right leg, and then we'll lift your left leg up. And then maybe extend the left leg. All right, bring it down and bring your hands into your heart center. Nice job. All right, so take a big step back with your right foot. You're going to go wide here. So the outer edges of your feet are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Lift your heart on the inhale. And then exhale, forward bend. Reach down. Bring your hands maybe to your shins or thighs. If you can get down to your big toes, go to your big toes. But just keep those hamstrings in mind. Not everybody's hamstrings are loose enough to get that down this low. And you want to get really long. So I'm going to change directions so you can see what I'm doing. What you want to avoid is rounding your back here. So keep your chest up and your chin up and your back long. And then we tend to sink back into the backs of the heels here as well, which tends to put a little bit too much stress on your joints. So bring your weight forward. Try to get your hips over your ankles. So weight is in the fronts of the heels. The way you counter that is tighten up the tops of your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Squeeze your legs into the midline. Pretend you're squeezing a block between your thighs. All right, bend the knees, bring the hands to the hips, squeeze the elbows toward the sky, inhale, come on up. So we're gonna do this again, but we're gonna do this with a twist. So check the feet, make sure you're still parallel with the outer edges of the feet, and you're gonna go for a forward bend again, and then twist to the right first. So lift up tall, squeeze your legs together, come forward, and then bring your left hand to the ground. If that seems like that's a little too far away, use your block and press down into the block. And then you're gonna take that right arm forward. From here, hinge forward, see if you can get your hand to the ground. What may happen is if you can't get your hand to the ground comfortably, you're gonna put the block under your right hand. And then take the left arm behind your right arm and grab any part of your right thigh. So right thigh, right calf, right ankle, whatever feels comfortable. Pull on that right leg and gently pull yourself into a twist. Look under your right armpit toward the sky. And keep in mind, you don't have to be this low. You can be a lot higher. All right, come back to the center. Let's go for the other side. So again, you may want to put the block under your right hand, or you may want to put the block under your left hand. You can also bend your knees a little bit if you're having trouble getting to the ground. So extend that left arm forward. Take your right hand to your left thigh, left calf, or left ankle. Gently tug and look under your left armpit and twist to your left. All right, unwind, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, come on up, make sure you inhale. If you exhale coming up, sometimes you get dizzy. And then toe heel in. And then step up to the front of your mat. All right, standing splits, or standing pigeon actually. Spread your toes out on your left foot. You're gonna bend your left leg and make a shelf so you can cross your right ankle on top. So it kind of looks like a figure four. And then you're gonna hang out here, slightly leaning at the hips, hinging at the hips here. Now, if you feel comfortable, if you're starting to loosen up and you're breathing really deeply, you may wanna get hands down to blocks just to help you stay stable. If you're really flexible, you can bring your hands down to the ground, but it really just depends. So don't force anything. Forcing doesn't work. Breathe deeply, be generous with your breath. All right, come on up. Let's go for the other side. So you're going to spread the toes out on your right foot, make a little shelf, cross the left ankle on top, and then hinge at the hips. And if you need a blanket or a block or something to play with here, grab your prop. And again, nice big breaths. So you should be feeling this in the outer hips right now. All right, we're gonna do one more. So this one, if you're a little new to this, it's a stereotypical pretzel pose for yoga, but I don't want you to think of this as a pretzel. I want you to think of this as just a hip opener. So if you're tight, and many of us are, you're gonna put a block to the outside of your left foot. So you're gonna stand here on your left leg, block is to the outside of the foot, and you do that same slight bend in the standing leg. Take your right leg as high as you can over the left leg, and then try to pull that right foot in towards your left calf. If it doesn't do that very comfortably, put your right foot down on the block. So you're still getting a little crossover here. And then eventually you will wrap your right foot all the way around the back of your calf, but don't force it. So once you're here, press your knees slightly out against each other. And then we've already done this eagle arms, Garudasana arms once before. So you take the arms out, right leg is over, which means right elbow is going to go under. And then bring the backs of the hands together or bring the palms of the hands together. If you're on a super tight side with your shoulders, then that wrapping around probably isn't going to work. If you're super tight in the shoulders, just bring the palms of the hands together and the forearms together. is a great stretch for your shoulders. So you don't even have to do the wrap there. And then pull down with the elbows. If you've got forearms together, see if you can keep those forearms together as you draw your elbows down. And this is called nesting eagle, where you try to touch your elbows to your knees. Couple things to think about. Soften back from your inner knees to your groin. Gently press your knees out against each other. Zip up your belly. Don't forget to breathe. All right, come on out of that one. Let's go for the other side. So block is going to go to the outside of your right foot now. You're going to bend your right knee. And then you're going to cross that left leg up as high as it can go and over. Maybe bring the foot to the block. Maybe bring the foot to the calf, and maybe wrap it all the way around. Left hip's a little tighter for the right-handers. Arms out, left elbow is going to come underneath if you're trying for a little bit more shoulder. And then start at elbows at about chin level, and then slowly drag them down. And you're going to find something that works where you're like, oh yeah, I feel hips and shoulders, and that's the whole point. Soften back from knees to groin. Press your knees out against each other. Don't forget to breathe. All right, come out of that one. Nice. All right, so you should be feeling a little sweaty. We're going to come down to the ground now. Take your arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back, and then find a child's pose. Check in and see how different you feel. All right, so we're going to do regular pigeon first. I'll give you a couple of options. So right leg lunges forward, right foot walks over toward the left hand or the left hip. If you're tighter in the hips, walk your right foot towards your left hip. So, and I'll give a couple of pointers on this one. If you're really loose in the hips, your shin is parallel to the front of your mat. If you're not so loose in the hips, you have a shin that looks more like a 45-degree angle here. So your foot's closer to your hip. When your hands come straight down from your shoulders, your right knee should be slightly to the outside of your right forearm. So you want to make sure that that right knee is slightly out there. If your right knee is pointing straight forward, you're not really getting the hip opener that you need. It's more of a quadricep stretch. So that's one variation. If that hurts your knees, this is the wonderful variation for that. So you can cross your right ankle just below the left knee on the thigh. Pull that left leg in, grab the back of your thigh or the front of your shin, and then you can rock from side to side and work through some of the tightness in that outer right hip. So this is a great posture as well. So pick a pigeon, take some deep breaths, zip up your low belly. Remember that Aparigraha, non-hoarding. So that applies to even postures, not just your attitude, recognizing that you need to relax, and then sometimes it's just hard to relax. So coming out of a posture and coming back into it is a great idea if you're really suffering. And sometimes it's just mental suffering, but it all counts. Okay, so if you're on your front side, we're going to add in a little bit more to this. We're going to start walking up. So engage your left quadriceps a little bit more, tighten at the top of your left thigh, and start walking your hands back up a little bit. So you're walking your hands, excuse me, walking your hands back. Belly pulls in, front ribs pull in, tailbone tries to stretch down. If you feel any compression in your low back, lean forward a little bit more, or see if you can roll your tailbone toward the ground more. So you're getting a little bit more into the outer hip and IT band when you walk up like this. So this is this variation here. A block can really help here. Keep lifting through the front of the body, pulling the belly in. If you're on your back, the variation for that is a little bit of a bridge. So you're crossing the right ankle above the left thigh near the knee. Get those shoulders underneath you. And then you're going to lift your hips up and drop your right knee as if there's a weight attached to your right knee. So you're going to get a lot of the same hip stuff happening. A little bit less back bend in terms of upper back, but that's okay. All right, take about 2 to 3 more big breaths here. Keep pulling in. We're using a lot of core here, the front of the core. All right, let's go for the other side. So down dog or happy baby, dead bug. You can roll around on your back for a moment. Let's go for the left hip. So left leg comes forward or crosses just below the right knee on the thigh, draw on your back. And then find your spot. Tighten up your right thigh. Make sure your left knee is just slightly outside of your shoulder, your forearm. Don't forget to breathe. Keep pulling your belly in. If you're a right-hander, you may notice this side's a little bit tighter. So focus on big, deep breathing. All right, start walking it up if you're on your front side. Be really aware of what's going on with your core. Pull the belly in, pull the front ribs in, so you can roll your tailbone down. Coming up a little bit more upright. If you feel compression in your back and you cannot get that compression to go away, then lean forward slightly. And then if you're on your back, grab the sides of your mat, roll your shoulders underneath you. Press down into your right foot and drop your left knee as if there's a weight attached to it. Press the back of your head into the ground as well. All right, and then come on out of it. We're going to roll up or do a down dog first. So if you're on the front side of your body for pigeon, do a down dog. If you're on your back, do a little happy baby dead bug. Rock around for a bit. All right, come to a seated posture. So from here, pretty straightforward posture here. Janu Shirshasana, it's a forward bend. You bring your right foot into your inner left thigh. If your knee doesn't bend that well, you may end up having your right foot closer to your calf or knee. Somewhere up and down this left leg is fine. So once you have that right foot in there, press into the leg, press the leg into the foot as well. Sit up tall. This is where a strap can be really handy if you're tight in the hamstrings. So lift and twist your belly toward your left thigh and then reach for your left foot. If your left foot seems really far away, use your strap. Press the ball of your foot into your strap. Pull your arm bones back into your shoulder sockets and lift your chest. So we're really going for a spinal stretch as well. It is a hamstring stretch, but we want to make sure we don't compromise the spine when we do that. So as you inhale, lengthen. As you exhale, twist your belly button toward your thigh and see if you can bring your belly button a little bit closer to your thigh. Don't forget to breathe and keep pressing your right foot and your left thigh into each other. All right, let's switch sides. So take your right leg forward, bring your left foot into your inner right thigh, press them into each other. Again, that foot can be a little bit lower down the leg. Sit up tall, twist your belly button toward the thigh, reach for your shin or your foot, or use your strap to just add some extension to your arms. Then inhale, lengthen your spine. Remember, the spine is super important here. You don't want to collapse and round your back. As you exhale, twist your belly toward your right thigh and see if you can hinge at the hips a little bit more. So low belly's pulling in, but low belly's also gently twisting toward that right thigh. You're pressing your left foot and your right thigh into each other. All right. Let's come on up, and then you're gonna bring the bottoms of your feet together. So we're gonna do a little bit more hamstring later, and the reason why is most of us are tight in the hamstrings, so we need a little extra tension there. So you're bringing the bottoms of your feet together, open up the feet like a book. And then first thing I want you to do is just stretch your fascia in your back. So you're gonna bring your forehead towards your toes. You're just gonna completely round the back. So forehead comes toward the toes. It may not touch. And then slightly swing from side to side so you can feel all the different connective tissue and muscles in your back stretching out here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and grab your big toes with your first two fingers. So use your first two fingers and wrap them around your big toes. And then you're going to lean back and see if you can get your feet off the ground. Next thing you're going to do is start extending. So it's okay if you have bent legs. Really, the people who extend all the way are the people with the looser hamstrings. So extend your legs, but don't feel like they have to go straight. Pull your arm bones into your shoulder sockets and just try to balance here. And then there's a variation here that we're going to try. So now you're going to try to keep extending that left leg and keep lifting your chest and pulling your belly towards your left thigh. Now bring that right heel in toward your groin and then pull the right foot back towards your ear. Wherever you end up going is fine because you'll notice it starts creating some instability. So you're just going to hang out here. It kind of looks like you're shooting a bow and arrow, and that's the eventual goal. It may not look that pretty. Mine is not actually that pretty. So people who do this regularly and also really enjoy the flexibility part of this, their foot is like way back here behind their ear. So for me, I get enough inner thigh stretch just having my foot close to my head. Let's go for the other side. So extend your right leg out. Left foot comes in, left knee bends, left foot comes somewhere near your ear, whatever that means for you. Keep breathing, but you're going to feel your inner thigh doing some work here, and that's what counts. Don't forget to breathe. All right, bring your feet back together. This time we're going to go for a flat backed, a straight backed forward bend. So walk, kind of rock from side to side here. If you have an ample butt, which I do, you want to pull some of the flesh out. So you're going to grab your right butt and pull it out and back, and then lean to the other side and pull the flesh of your left butt out and back so you can feel a little bit more of the bone on the ground. And then you're going to try to go for a forward bend with a flat back. So from here, I'll demonstrate from the side so you can see. Hinge at the hips, keep your chest lifted, come to a forward bend. So maybe you come just a couple of inches. And eventually, as you lengthen your spine and get some more space in those lower lumbar vertebrae, as well as getting the flexibility in a lot of that connective muscles, you've got like oblique abdominals, you've got your QL in your low back. There's a lot of stuff that you're having to like lengthen here. Eventually, you'll come down a little bit more and your chest may come somewhere closer to your toes, but keep in mind that you don't want to round your back on this one. So the last one we did was rounding the back, but that was on purpose to stretch out the fascia of the spine. Now what we're trying to do is lengthen the spine. All right, come on up. Now we're going to go for double pigeon. So we're not going to stay here super long, but you're going to take your left leg under and right leg over. And this should feel pretty warmed up. We've done a whole lot of stuff for the inner thighs right now. So in a perfect world, your shins are perfectly lined up over each other. This is not a perfect world. So your left foot may be a little bit closer to your right hip. Your right foot may actually be forward and resting on a block in front of your left knee. We're going to go for another forward bend. So bring your hands to the bottoms of your feet. And then again, hinge at the hips. And it's going to be a little bit more intense in that right hip. You should be feeling it in both hips a little bit, but the right leg tends to feel a little bit more. And again, everybody's a little bit different. If you got one hip that's super, super tight or has been injured, you may feel that hip on both sides. All right, come on up and let's go for the other side. So you're gonna take your right leg under, left leg over, and then bring your hands to the balls of your feet, press the balls of your feet out, and heels are going to just slightly drop a little bit. Inner ankles are gonna lift a little bit, press out, press in with your hands, and then again, see if you can do a little bit of a forward bend here. Whatever works for that hip is fine. So if your forward bend is more of an upright position and you're like, are you kidding me? I feel my hips like crazy and they're burning and I'm sitting up tall, then that's where you hang out. So breathe deeply. Soften your jaw a little bit. Make sure you can breathe deeply. All right, and then come on up. So that should feel like you've worked on your hips a little bit. Okay, so this next thing we're gonna do is gonna line our bellies. And we're gonna do Bekasana, the frog. The main thing we're doing here is working on our quadriceps. So you're going to bend your right knee. Now, if you get tight in the shoulders here, this happens a lot. If you feel tight in the shoulders, you can always slide down and come down to your chest. Otherwise, start out propping yourself up with your left shoulder, left forearm. You're gonna grab the right foot. So press the right foot back. And if you can barely touch that right foot, you can use a strap around your foot so that you're not having to worry about the actual grab here. So plenty of people hang out here and they get a nice stretch as they stretch their right knee toward the ground or toward the wall. Otherwise, you're going to try to bring that right foot in closer to your hip. As you pull that right foot in closer to your hip, what happens is the top of your femur bone pushes forward into your hip socket, and you want to avoid that because over time that grinds into the cartilage of your hip socket. So you want to keep that right knee down or stretching toward the wall so that it's your right femur bone, the top of it is actually in the back of your hip socket. The other thing you want to do is zip up your low belly. So here we are, my right shoulder's rolling onto my back. I'm getting a bit of a shoulder opener as well as a quadricep. Stretch, breathe deeply. Again, if this is starting to get a little bit too much, too intense for your left shoulder, you can always come down to the ground and extend that left arm out so you're not propping up so much weight on that left shoulder. So breathe deeply, squeeze your legs in toward the midline a little bit, toward each other. Keep zipping up your low belly and trying to pull your low belly off the ground. All right, let's switch sides. Bring your right forearm down. Grab your foot with your strap or grab it with your hand. Press your left heel in the direction of your left hip. Roll your left shoulder onto your back. Zip up your belly. Stretch your left knee toward the ground or toward the wall. In a perfect world, your belly's not even on the ground anymore. You're really pressing down into your pubic bone and rolling your pubic bone toward the ground, but no worries if you're not there yet. Just keep using all those muscles. All right, before we try to go for the full Bekasana, which is a pretty big shoulder opener, interlace your fingers behind your back and go for the non-dominant grip. Put the other thumb and first finger on top so it feels kind of funky. And then lift your chest up. Pull your hands away from each other. They're still interlaced, but pull them away from each other. Big breathing. All right, and from here, push back to child's pose for a sec. Get nice and long. And this next step is not going to guarantee that you can get both hands behind you in Bekasana, but it's going to help. So hips are over your knees. Slide your hands forward. Drop your forehead or your chin to the ground. And then try to melt your heart toward the ground. As you do this, press down into the ground firmly with your hands and lift your arm muscles up against your arm bones. come forward. Now, we're still working on those shoulders, so we can get into this Bakasana, back bend. So now you're gonna go ahead, and this is easier said than done. I make this look incredibly easy, and this is not. It's just kind of hard to figure out where your legs are. So you're gonna bend your legs, and then you're going to loop the strap around and get the strap around your ankles. Not easy, so take your time trying to figure this one out. Once you have your strap around your ankles, you're gonna take your hands forward, or your elbows forward and your hands by your ears. I find that my strap falls out of my hands a little bit, so I wrap the strap one time around my hands so I have a little bit better grip, and then I pull those elbows forward so my fists are near my ears or behind my ears. And then what you do is you push your feet into the strap, zip up your belly, roll your pubic bone toward the ground, and then slightly pull your elbows down and then into your shoulder sockets. And eventually, arms will be up around your ears, but you're still slightly resisting pulling the elbows down and into your arm sockets. And you can see that someday this is grabbing your feet behind your head, right? But we're just trying to get some shoulder flexibility right now. All right, release. Make a little pillow, turn your head to one side. Rest. All right, let's try for those quad skins. You're gonna bend your knees, and then you're gonna bring your right hand back and see if you can bring your right heel down. You're gonna try to do this on the other side too. This is where the blanket comes in really handy. So I'm gonna demonstrate the posture, but then I'm gonna explain it with the blanket. So right foot, left foot, fingers are gonna point out, and then as your feet come closer to your hips, you're able to put your fingers forward, and this is the posture. So it kind of looks like a frog, right? However, that's hard to do because if you don't have a whole lot of strength in your core, then you kind of feel this in your back, and that's no fun. So what I like to do is get a nice blanket or block here, and I like the block, but the blanket's a little bit more gentle. So the blanket's here, your pelvis, your hips are on the ground, your belly and the very top of your hip bones are going to be on the blanket, and what that does is helps pull your belly in, so that makes this a little bit easier in terms of support. So my pelvis is on the ground, pubic bone's on the ground, low belly, and very top of the hips is on the blanket. And then I'm going to try this one more time. So you grab, pull those feet in, try to keep lifting your chest. Eventually change those hands a little bit. Nice deep breaths. And you get that support of that belly pulling in with the blanket there. So try it, see how it feels. Nice big breaths. We'll try this one more time with a bow back bend. So take a moment and push back to child's pose. Just get a nice neutral spine. And let's do a bow Dhanurasana for good measure. So again, belly goes on the blanket, pelvis, pubic bone on the ground. And then you're going to grab your feet. This time you're going to push the feet away from you. So squeeze your legs in the midline, push the feet away from you, and try to pull your belly off the blanket. Right. And release. Push back to child's pose. All right, let's go ahead and lie down on our backs. So move your blanket to the side. And then you're going to have your strap nearby. You're going to end up using it. Lie on your back, hug your right knee into your chest. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a twist. Twists are really lovely after back bends. They tend to make everything realign really nicely. So you're going to take your right arm out to the side, look over your right shoulder, and then bring your right leg across the body to the left. So you're rolling onto your outer left hip, outer left thigh. Right hip is going to stack on top of the left hip. Stick your tailbone out a little bit. So get a little bit of a curve in your low back and stick out your tailbone. Look over your right shoulder. All right, come back to the center. Let's go for the other side. So hug your left knee into your chest, your left thigh. Extend your right leg. Give yourself a little squeeze. Take your left arm out to the side, look over your left shoulder, and slowly bring that left leg across the body to the right. Roll onto your outer right hip, roll onto your outer right thigh. Stick your tailbone out, get a little bit of a curve. There's a big tendency to kind of tuck under here, which really kind of stresses out that QL, that flat muscle in your low back. Give it a little bit of a curve, zip up your low belly. All right, roll back onto your back. And let's go for one more thing just for those hamstrings. Since we did a few back bends, the hamstrings tend to tighten up. Anytime you bend your legs, your hamstrings tighten up. So take your strap to the ball of your foot, or if you can grab your big toe, grab it. Pull that right leg in. This is my favorite posture of all time. I love this posture. So bring that right leg in. You can even massage the hamstrings a little bit. Just find them. There's usually one that's a little tighter than the rest of them. So if you just move your hand around, give yourself a little massage, you're going to find a tight spot. Now lift your head and shoulders up and bow towards your right leg. Keep pressing your left heel down. Make sure that left leg is anchored into the ground. All right, and then take that leg out to the right side. So left hand's going to come to your hip. Left hip will stay planted. Lower that right leg down. Give yourself a moment to just open up that inner thigh again. Right heel will be slightly higher than your right toes, but keep that left hip planted. Don't let it pop up off the ground. All right, bring that leg back up and then hug it into your chest again. Give yourself a little squeeze. Let's go for the other side. So left leg comes up. You can put your strap around your foot or grab your foot if you've got the flexibility. Extend your right leg down. Press your right heel toward the ground and your right thigh toward the ground. Pull your left leg in. Breathe. And then you may want to just take some time to massage the back of your left thigh. See where the tight spots are. Lift your head and shoulders up and bow toward that leg. All right, let's take the leg out to the side. So bring your right hand to your thigh, keep your right hip down, and slowly lower that left leg over to the left. And again, if that right hip starts threatening to pop up, that's a really good indicator that your left leg shouldn't be lowering anymore. And you can look over your right shoulder, just a complete little twist here. All right, bring that leg back up, and then hug your left knee into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. All right, beautiful. Okay, last little bit here. You're gonna roll up and down, and we're going to practice an inversion of your choice. So if you are a regular student of mine, pick an inversion that you like to do. You've all been practicing them a lot, and there's one that you love. But I like doing forearm balance because it is such a great back strengthener, and it really does work your core a lot better. So I'll demonstrate forearm balance. So you're going to take your block, and my thumb is on one side, my first finger's on the other side, so it's like little L shapes around the corners of the blocks. You're going to bring that block to the ground. The reason why is if you don't have the block and you're new at this, then your hands slide in and your elbows slide out and you end up face planting into the ground. You're trying to keep your head and shoulders up. So the block helps just align your arms better. So from here, try this posture. If you feel pinching in your inner shoulders, I'll give you another variation. So you're here, essentially it looks a lot like down dog, except that your elbows and forearms are on the ground. Press your chest towards your toes, look up, make sure your head is nowhere near the block. If your head is over here by the block, keep pressing your chest towards your toes. If you feel your hamstrings are really limiting you, bend your knees and keep lifting your hips up. You're trying to keep your spine long here and really get into the rhomboids, which are between the shoulder blades. So if that's feeling pretty good, stay there. And then you can lift a leg up. Play with that. That's a little bit more weight. You can also pull a knee into your chest. That'll engage more of your back and belly muscles. So you can kind of extend and pull in and extend and pull in. Keep playing with that if your shoulders feel fine. If the insides of your shoulders feel pinched and impinged, then you probably need to work on opening up the shoulders more before you have palms down. So the way you do that is you flip your hands over, and it's going to feel really awkward, but the backs of your hands will be on the ground. And what you'll end up doing is karate chopping the block with the pinky edge of the palm of your hand. So you don't want to press in with your pinky fingers. You want to press in with the palm of your hand, the edge, the knife edge part of your hand on the pinky edge. So my hands are palms up instead, and I'm pressing in to the block and pulling the thumbs down. And I do the same posture, but it's a little bit more opening of the back, which is super helpful if you're tight in the shoulders. So same posture, different positioning of the hands. Play with that one, and you can still do leg up, pull the knee in if you want to. You're going to try to pull your thumbs down. Your thumbs are not actually going to touch the ground, but you're going to try. The fact that you're trying matters. So just be aware if your thumbs are starting to point up toward the sky, not good, right? You want to make sure the thumbs are trying to pull down toward the ground so you get that full rotation of the shoulders, that external rotation. If you've been trying this for a while, you can use a wall. So I got a wall here, and what I'll do is try with one leg and then the other leg. So come into that dolphin pose, take a foot right about hip level, push into the wall, see if I can get that leg straight. If I can, the other leg will just sort of follow. And then eventually I'll put the other foot on the wall as well. And then eventually, as you get more strong and flexible through the shoulders, you can take a leg up, and then eventually you'll take both legs up. So play with that a little bit. Got about 30 seconds left, which is roughly 10 breaths. So now that I'm not teaching classes in a studio, I'm tempted to pull out my bolster, because bolsters are lovely, but I realize a lot of you guys don't have bolsters. So we're going to pretend we have a bolster with a blanket, and I may pull out my bolsters at some point just in case some of you have them, but you're going to roll up your blanket into a nice, neat roll here. And so this sort of emulates a bolster, and you're going to have it nice and long there. And you're going to have a block up there for your head as well. So what you'll do is you'll put your hips down on the ground right there, so the bolster or the blanket is right against your hips. And then you're going to lie down on the blanket. And sometimes if you've got a short enough torso, your head rests on the top of the blanket. Otherwise, you can put the block there at the top of the blanket for just a little extra support and take the arms out to the side. So it gives you just a tiny bit of a shoulder opener, It really feels good to lie on the blanket and kind of get the spine on it. So you could also do a regular shavasana. You can also prop yourself up in different ways. If you want, you can put the block under your hips as well. But if you want to play with your blanket, this is a good one. And then slow down your breath. As you breathe, notice your breath coming in through your nose, your nostrils, and out through your nostrils. Breathe in through the throat. Notice the breath coming in and out. Notice the breath coming in and out of the chest. Notice the belly rising and falling with your breath. And I always encourage you to spend a lot more time here in Shavasana. So if you've got the time, please do. Please stay here for another 5 or 10 minutes. If you do not have the time, you can come to a seated posture, a comfortable seated posture. Just take a moment to check in, whether you're lying down or whether you are seated. And then you can do this physically or mentally. It just depends on where you are and how much more you want to rest. Bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. And sending some peace out there into the world. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.